Alright, so we are on the line in Oisov Dalet on page Memtes, on the line that begins with the word Hu Bechinas Ha'ir. Talking about the sphirot Hagnuzos, and we're giving a moshe for sphirot Hagnuzos that when they are affected by the tzimtzum, then the bulk of the oil, the main oil, is nistalic, dissipates, and there remains only a fraction of the oil which ultimately can fit into keilim. The moshe for this was a word, and then you take one ois out of the word. The word contains phenomenal oil. You take one ois out of the oil, out of the word. The oil dissipates, but just a fraction of it remains. So then the Rebbe says, however, this moshel of the oisius for the sphirot Hagnuzos would be suitable if we would view the sphirot Hagnuzos as shoroshe ha-keilim. Shoroshe ha-keilim, that this is like the source of the keilim. So in keilim we could say that the oil dissipates and there remains only the keilim. But based according to the principle in this moment that we are approaching now, that the sphirot Hagnuzos, this is shoroshe ha-oiros. Oiros, as we discussed last night, and ultimately we'll have to somehow relate and understand, oiros can never disappear, not be separated from their source. The principle of oil is that it represents a source. In the Mishalim that we have been discussing over the years, the simplest and most obvious is that when you have a guest for lunch, you can serve him the meal and all that, but there is the element of his presence per se, which is inseparable from him, cannot be substituted. No matter how much you substitute, how much you represent his presence through any kind of means, I said of a luscious meal and comfortable seating, cover anything, it does not substitute for his own presence. Oil is always connected. This is what oil. The reality itself, the significance of his presence, that cannot be substituted. No matter how much tzimtzum there occurs, there remains the principle. What's mean tzimtzum? Let me explain. Let's say you're at a wedding, and it's a wedding that you are really taking a significant to you. A friend, a brother, a sister, a child, and there are hundreds of people at the wedding. Does that then compromise your relationship to the principle of the wedding, which is the chassan? He remains as vivid in your mind as if you're meeting him personally. Sure, there's a difference. But the reality itself remains. This is what the Rebbe is saying. If we say that sphirot Hagnuzos is shoroshe ha-oiros, how can you then point out that as a result of the tzimtzum, the oil dissipates, like in the case of a word, and the ois is extracted from the word, where the oyer, the scholar, is lost. Since the lost in the way in the mind, since that it is all bechinas oyer, it's all the quality of oyer. Oyer means the presence of the source.
So a base kind of doesn't allow for this.
What?
The AyinBase doesn't allow for hakol bechinas oyer.
No, AyinBase is a keilim. All right, so we are starting again in the line that begins hu bechinas oyer, and that is 7 lines from the beginning of the oyer. Ahu inyan hu. However, the principle in this is the hine yodua. For us, it is known the be'oyer yesh pnimis chitzonius. That in oil there is pnimis and chitzonius. In oil itself there is pnimis and chitzonius. Ayin mashi is boil a common perik. Then it says in parentheses, look forward what is going to be explained later, and intended to bring the perik down, but the perik was not the other side. The pnimis and chitzonius in oil. Clearly, this remains to be explained. And similarly, if in oil there is pnimis chitzonius, similarly, b'shoroshay ha'oiros, in the root of the oiros, yesh gam bechinas pnimis chitzonius. There too, there is the bechina of pnimis chitzonius. What does this mean? The hagam, for although shehein b'chinas pshitus, although that the oiros are b'chinas pshitus, are in a pshitus state. What is the principle of pshitus? We already had a chance to delve into this. Oiros are not created. Oiros are not redefined from the Etzem. They represent what the Etzem is. In a pshitus means in a simple and straightforward manner. So if the oiros are b'chinas pshitus, so where is the concept of pnimis and chitzonius? Pnimis and chitzonius, as the words imply, pnimis means the way it is on the inside, from the source. Chitzonius is how it is presented. But oyer does not have a presentation element. Oyer is a b'chinas pshitus. It is what it is, representing its source. So therefore, where is the union from pnimis and chitzonius in oyer? So he says, even though there's the b'chinas pshitus, mikol mokoy, nonetheless, okay, here the approach is, so to speak, an indirect approach to explain this. Kol ma sheyesh b'his galus, yesh gan ki b'shir shemokim. Everything that is present b'his galus, on the expressed and the revealed state of the oyer, yesh gan ki b'shir shemokim, exists also in the source. This is a very interesting principle. We cannot directly approach and say, oh, yeah, there's pnimis and chitzonius. Oh, yeah, there's all pnimis, all pshitus. So that's how we approach it in an indirect approach. What is the indirect approach? Is this? That his galus, when the oil is fully expressed, there you could see clearly that there is pnimis and hitzenius. So if his galus is pnimis and hitzenius, everything that exists his galus is an expression, is a revelation of the oil itself, the essence of the oil. Otherwise, how does it come to be in his galus?
How does pnimius and chitzonius come to be his galus?
Right.
Not.
This is a phenomenal statement. It's important to the extent possible for us to focus in and understand the significance of this statement. I'm repeating, it's a phenomenal statement. If it is his galus, then it has to be also b'sheresh in the source. What's so compelling about that concept? His galus, you adjust to environment. How is that compelling that in B'Shor Shemokir it also exists? Right? You get the point. We should be able to answer this on all the things that we have discussed all the years. Yes.
I think the question would be true if we said that the environment is what's drawing the ore, but if that has an impact, if that changes the ore. But if the ore is completely initiated from, if the ore is a real...
We're talking about his galus.
Right. But
listen, okay. Here. Again, in there. Not his galus means that the environment is affected, but his galus.
Right.
So it's not into itself.
Right.
Okay. So now.
But we learned that but it's coming completely from. It's not initiated by the environment.
Let's say that it's not initiated, but there is an initiation element in there, because why mami is galus? Because I recognize that there is the external environment. Otherwise, why would I go to his galus?
But if you but wouldn't that be in the fact that you recognize that there's an external environment that has to be recognized in the source.
Right.
In other words, the source is what's.
But what does the source recognize? That there is an external environment, and that recognition, the external environment aspect, is what causes that change.
I'm saying so. In other words, the question is. The way that the ore relates to the environment, it doesn't make sense to say that itself is in the source. The way that it is.
Maybe it does. This is what the Rebbe is saying. I'm asking, where is the compelling element in this? Rebbe making a statement. He said, in oil there's pnimis and hitzenius. And he does not go directly to explain pnimis. Oh, of course, pnimis and hitzenius. It's not that simple. You have to come from left field. You have pnimis and hitzenius be his galus. There has to be pnimis and hitzenius. in Mokir.
The or is a reflection of the of the ma'or, the essence. Therefore, if it's coming in a form that's Beis Galus, it's still or. If it's still or, that means that it has to be.
But maybe the union from Pnimis is affected when it comes with his Galus. It's a different state, a different level of the air. But when you're talking about the Mokir, the Shirish Mokir, where the essence is recognized, what Pnimis have to do with it?
But wouldn't that be saying that when it's the chitzonius of the or is not really or? In other words, if it's something that's only
no, he says no, it's oil. That we have established. Otherwise, we're losing track. It's bechinas oil. But in bechinas oil, there is primus and chitzonius. And as you pointed out, this introduction of primus and chitzonius in oil is an inherent difficulty. And the proof is in the way the Rebbe approaches to explain it. I can't explain it directly because it doesn't make sense.
I think Pneumius and Chitzonius needs to be understood a little more.
Why is it so?
What?
Why is it such a difficult?
Because oil, as we said, when oil remains connected to the source. Oil remains connected to the source. Oil is the expression of the source. Like I said, it's not affected by the chitzonius. It is what I am. That's what the meaning of oil is. So where does the chitzonius come from?
I mean, in Ein Sof, we've already seen that there's Esespheres Ebenuzos, and there's spheres Ein Kates.
Okay. So that's primus and chitzonius.
It certainly shows well, okay, as Shmuel said, maybe we have to look at what is chitzonius and pnimis, but it certainly shows.
Okay, let me stop this discussion for just one moment. We can find words to explain it, but that's what I went looking for. We're looking seichel to explain it, not words. Let's go back. How does it make sense? Like I said before, in the motion of a chassan, the central thing in the chassan is the chassan. This is the real thing. This is the center. Take the chassan away, forget about the chassan. People are sitting around by a chassan, and the chassan is up there taking pictures, whatever it is, and nothing is happening. The food can be very enticing, whatever it is, their friend. It's nothing. The minute the chassan appears, wow, then the whole world breaks up. You have the real thing. And as long as it's four chassanim on the floor, no matter how many people there are around, and you have your friends and you're preoccupied with all kinds of different things, you do not lose sight of what's going on. This is the source of the inspiration of everything. At least that's where it should be. So where is primus and chitzonius come in oil? So, as I said, look at the way the Rebbe approaches to explain it. It shows you that this is something which is way distant from seichel. This is the first time that I see it, that we see in this hemshech, that the Rebbe kind of steps away from the norm, from the straight approach, and says, I can't explain it directly. I can only point and show you that this is how it is. And for us, this is itself a challenge. If it is so, because galus, therefore it has to be pnimis. Because galus, it is like this, because you adjust to the environment. But it has to be pnimis.
Of course.
I'm not looking for words. I'm looking for the seichel. Why does it have to be pnimis?
There's words inside, though.
I wanna alert us to a certain point that we discussed over the years. Not only here. I said something like this. You teach a child to eat with a spoon and a fork, or to sit on a place. And initially, even adults, they sit at the table because it's convenient. The chayre. You don't want to hold, you can't hold the plate in your hand, you have to put it down. But ultimately, one realizes that this chitzonius, this practical thing, is not just convenience. It actually contains a human element, a neshama element. The seichel ha'adam demands that you sit by a table and have the plate there. Seichel is the pnimis of the human being. And if he's lacking this, something is not right. The Gemara says, what's going on? What kind of insulting is this? I'm eating normal human food. So that the oil of the etzem, of the essence of the person, relates to the very chitzonius of the image.
It's seichel that causes this thing of the person to sit with at a table.
Yeah. And
the seichel causes it because the seichel itself is influenced by the neshama.
Yeah, that's what seichel is.
What is that? What do we call that? That's what seichel is. It's a tool for the neshama.
No, it's oil. It's a reflection of that. Seichel is a reflection of what the human being is.
Do we call the neshama or do we call the seichel?
Seichel is oil ha-nefesh.
That the person is made to be, he's put in the world, he has in other words, the whole, even at the conception, his mission includes to be on the world.
That's notwithstanding that, no matter however you interpret his place in the world, the point is that wherever he comes, he has a human approach to it. That's his seichel.
Right. Anything that's an etzem, it's always wherever it is, it transforms its environment to...
That's from the Etzem perspective. But on a practical level, you still have to learn how to drive a bicycle. Even though you understand how it works and you can relate to it. You follow what I'm saying?
So in other words, if he has to learn from the environment itself, how could you say that
practice it, right?
How could you say that that's something that's included
That's
in the or
included
all the way
that's like in the Shoyla Shemot.
Because there's no direct route to get from there to like Beis.
Maybe there is a direct route, but that's not what's called it. It's Shoyla Shemot. This is the nefesh. Is it a relationship between these following two experiences? On the one hand, a person stands on 2 feet. And you explained many times that this is a phenomenal thing. This standing up erect is something which is indicative of his seichel, of the neshama in his seichel. It's indicative that he doesn't really rely on the ground to support him. Something spiritual, a spirit that holds him up. Is there a connection between that and driving a bicycle?
Of course. It's almost the same exact thing.
If it were the same exact thing, you wouldn't have to practice
Almost.
driving a bicycle. All I'm pointing as I'm going a circle, I'm pointing out to us to reflect that this is truly a very profound statement. And if we are going to try to simplify it and send it with our words, we're going to miss the whole point. Do you remember ever that the Rebbe kind of did not approach a challenge directly, head on? He says, I can't really approach this directly. I have to bring proof that this is so.
Ayin.
Da'agam.
Huh?
Da'agam shein pshitus mikol makom, that.
Ayin is like, to understand this, we need to understand this.
No, not. That's an obvious question. Mikol makom. So therefore there's no way to explain that. But still remember, Kol ma sheyesh b'hizgalus sheyesh gam kim b'shir hashemot. What does that mean? What's compelling about this statement? This is what we said many times. You see a person eating with a spoon from a plate. Is it his habit that you're observing, or is it him that you're observing? You train an animal in any human activity, and you can do all the things, and And the world, the idiotic world, says, oh, look at this, it's got human qualities.
Is that we see that anything that he does, anything he learns to do, anything that's coming even from the environment, he never loses his human quality.
He's always connected to it. He identifies this from an internal perspective. Oh yeah, that's right.
Is that how we see that it's that everything that this galus is because no matter what he does, he always finds the connection.
It has to be.
There has to be a connection.
It has to be. Otherwise, you will have a human being acting robotically. You don't have a moment with a human being acting.
That's the proof, in other words.
Yeah. I mean, I'm explaining it.
Yeah.
Rabbi gives a plan. And I'm pointing out, where do we see that? We see that, I mean, we have discussed it many, many times from different circumstances. Therefore, we have to admit, by force of this logic, that the Sherish market of the Ayin there is fluency in service. Explain to me. I know I can't explain, but I know that it is there. That's the approach. Now that I know that it's there, I can focus in and kind of recognize what I'm talking about. By observing directly, no way.
Even observing like how you've explained it? In other words, that you can observe, no?
That is only because we were already told.
Okay.
Yeah, it's time to dump. Yeah. All right, look at this. We covered the half a line.